Hello, so this is an extra video just showing exactly what you do for like every aspect of your shots that you're working on. This doesn't include the cups. I just uploaded a video talking about baking out the cups and getting all that set up. But this does include Jose and kind of what you need to do to get him ready to export. Just a re-clarification of my other videos. So right here we have Steve's shot. This is scene 2, shot 1, where he's looking around. He starts hearing something. Yeah, let's just play through it. Ooh, looking around. Nice faces. So, pretty long shot. It's not. I mean, it's not that long. It's just a lot of stuff going on. We've got the camera moving. We got him moving. It's a little bit of a lot of stuff. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to work on baking him out, because that is something that we can kind of keep in the file. Kind of depends on how you export your file and how it all works out later. So we're going to be using this perspective one that has that, kind of that view of how he looks. I think this is the one that Steve animated on just for the walk cycle, which I think he imported, and we'll be able to check that in a minute. So first step that you want to do when you're getting ready to bake him out is you want to make sure that you have controls selected. So you want to make sure that all your controls are selected. And a good way to kind of see if they all are there is to do show all and select set members and make sure that everything is selected that you want. And it looks like we are good. I don't think we have any hand animation with him. His eyebrows aren't selected though, so maybe, yeah, that one's better. Select on all those. Nice. And let's just double check, make sure. Yeah, good. So what I'm basically checking for is making sure that nothing is being left up to reference files or anything like that, because it does have his ref imported, but unless that only matters if you're doing cycles. If you're doing cycles, you need to import the file entirely in, what you're probably already doing if it's some kind of slow down or speed up. So we'll select that rig set. It has each one of the frames, and it looks like there is a frame for each, like everything. So because we can't really tell what's going on here, we're going to go up here to Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. And with all these selected, it'll show us the cycle that we need. Yeah, all those frames. So making sure that we have it all selected, and here we're going to right click and hold, select all of the keys, and we're going to go up here to key in the animation tool or shelf. We're going to go up here to bake simulation underneath key, hit the option box, and it gives us a lot of settings that we can do. You want to make sure your time range is set up properly depending on how long your shot is. Then you want to bake it. You want to do sample by, set that to 2 for the first time that you do it. Then you can bake, and this actually leads into something else before we bake that. If you can, and we can try it with this one first, if you can, it's always a good idea to bake everything all at once. So we'll get our camera set up real quick before we bake out Jose. So for the cameras, if you have a moving camera like this, you want to make sure that you do our workflow that we talked about in class, which is creating a new camera, making sure that you name it however you need to, and then matching it with that locator, so this one, and it's going to be modify, match transformations, match all, and then you want to make sure that you have them parented, so it's going to be constrained parent, and yeah, I parented it wrong, so you want to make sure you parent it properly, which is going to be camera then locator. Ooh. So we'll do camera then locator, and then you want to constrain parent, make sure that maintain all offsets is on. I think I did it backwards again. Hold on. Locator then camera, I think that's right. Locator, then camera. Yeah, then you parent it. Yep, that's it. So you want to do locator, then camera, parent, and we can actually just bake the animation straight onto the camera. So that's going to be selecting the camera, then basically selecting all of his controls first. Boom. Then selecting the camera, and it's going to be key, bake simulation, set it to sample by 2, and then we bake. Now it's going to be baking on our camera too, which make it one big, movement instead of a couple different ones. So to make sure that camera movement is baked in, we're going to delete the parent constraint, and it looks good. So now what we can do is we want to make sure that we select all of his controls again, then select the camera again, and then we want to shift select all the frames, and do that probably in your animation graph editor. Yeah, see, select them all again, then right click, go to tangents, or go to tangents here. So with it all selected, go to tangents, stepped. It's probably going to freak out for a minute since you're doing a lot of frames, or freeze up entirely. Okay, good. Froze up, but now it's good. So now you will go back through, just double check. Yeah, and also check in the camera itself. Nice. And of course our camera's on 2s. I know we were talking about not doing them, but I feel like, at this point it's going to be more of a hassle to constrain that camera to him for those shots. So now we have all those selected. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we bake our final step. We want to make sure that we bake them all on 1s. So it's going to be going back into the bake simulation options, sample by, set it back to 1, and hit bake. And then it's going to run through the whole animation again. And it's going to think for a second. And probably lag out. Make sure that you're kind of sitting and waiting and being prepared that all of your animation might be gone in a minute. So yeah, and now everything's on 2s, and just play through. Nice. So that's what you do to get it all baked for just him and the camera. And now you can look and see the camera by itself has all of the keys that it needs. Him and all of his controls have all the keys that they need. So see, all the keys. Now you can start exporting. And so the camera is going to be the easiest thing to export. It's going to be File, Export Selection, and you go in here to whichever scene it is. We're going to do Scene 2, and made 2 folders. I'm going to go in here to a new folder for it. I can rename that in a minute, but Scene 2, Shot 1. You do camera, and then the frame range, which is going to be 0. And I guess you could do frame range. I think McNulty was even talking about doing the frame range after, so it'll go by scene and shot. So 0 to 289, and then do set that to camera. And I think that was the right naming convention. I'm gonna double check real quick. Reset. Make sure. Ah, there it is. So, not that. We're going to do actually cam 0, 2, 0, 1. And then our frame range is going to be 0 to 289. And then that will be our camera. So then we want to do bake animation. We want to make sure our frame range is set properly. So 0 to 289. And then make sure down here that cameras are selected. All of these can kind of stay the same, just making sure that you include geometry. Make sure that all of this is the same. Since it's only cameras, that's the only thing that really matters. And the automatic up axis Z and the file type. When you hit export, And it's going to say that it didn't do, it's going to be saying that it changed it to user, but that's fine because that's just for camera scaling and stuff. So next step is going to be exporting out Jose. That's a different process that we have to do later. This is some troubleshooting tips. If it looks like his eyes aren't exporting out properly, or his pupils, go in here and check the pupil controls, because we've been having issues with this, with pupil moving, things like that. So if that doesn't work, then this is an extra step that you're probably going to have to do for eye movements. We were talking about it earlier, me and Elvis. It's another step kind of that we haven't even processed yet. This could work, probably should work, for getting eye animation and eyelid animation. It all depends on if it's underneath this control, because if it's underneath this rig set, which it says it is, then it should be processing all that animation. But it's always good to check the FBXs first. But if it doesn't work, then it's always a good idea to go in here and bake out these separate as well. So that would be selecting these two triangles, selecting the eye pupils, the little circles above the pupils. Oops. We'll just do this side for now. And then making sure that we line up our bakes, the animation. So go back to 0, and then go to key, bake simulation, and you want to make sure that you do simple by 2, and bake. And it's just going to be baking those controls. And if you can see, now when his eyes are moving and eyelids are moving, it bakes it. I think it actually is doing it a little off. It looks like it's moving more. Like it's almost, oh, it's still interpolating. So what you want to do is, yes, do this the same stepped thing. Completely forgot that my tangents were off. Yeah, see, now it's doing it right. And then basically just baking those out again. It could just be going in and doing, for each one of your shots that you have that you're working on, it could just be going in and selecting just those controls. So making sure that all these are deselected, go and select all the controls, and making sure that you bake with these on, or just select them individually downright. So yeah, that's a troubleshooting issue. Kind of, if that doesn't work, make sure you go in there and bake those out individually. Thing is, I've seen this happen before with other things on here. Like, I think there's maybe the tie. No, see, most of these it bakes out properly. That's why it's a little confusing for that area. But I think it might just be a selection set issue. So yeah, if that doesn't work, then do that. Also, none of these controls, I don't think they come in either. I think it really just, depends on the other stuff. So I think we're good on all of that. If you guys have any more questions on baking him out or baking the camera out, let me know. But that should be all kind of troubleshooting wise for him. You can see kind of, yeah, see, that eyelid's still moving, so it didn't even get baked originally. So that's our eyelid problem that we were having. That's how we fix it now. And if the eyebrows are animating weird too, that might be another issue with it too. Which I think I accidentally was setting keys from every time that I was zoomed. But you get the gist. That's how we do it. If you guys have any more questions, just let me know. Okay? All right. See ya.